The Indian Ocean before dawn is cold like steel. No moon, only a thin veil of mist and the wind screaming through the rigging. On the deck of the Fancy, Captain Henry Every doesn't speak much. He stares at the horizon where a dark shape drifts inside the fog, the gold ship of an empire. Lights out, the lamps die. Close the gap. The bow dips slightly and surges forward, slicing the water like a blade. 600 meters, then 500, 400. The crew hears nothing but their own heartbeat and the sea slamming the hull. A faint light flickers on the other ship. Someone has spotted the shadow. Every lifts a hand for silence, then drops it like an executioner's stroke. Hold, fire. One beat. Fire! A flash erupts at the bow. The cannon blast rolls through the fog, and a column of water explodes just off the enemy's side. No blood, only smoke, wood shuddering, and panic spreading across the treasure ship's deck. If they turn and run, they'll be hunted. If they close in, they can change their lives forever. And dawn is coming. 3 minutes to lock the angle, before the sky turns gray and the escorts appear. To understand why that warning shot could change the fate of the Fancy, we have to rewind a few hours. Henry. Every isn't reckless, he's calculated. He knows that at sea, what kills fastest isn't always a cannonball, but a missed beat, a late turn, an order delayed by half a second, enough to turn the hunter into prey. So when the wind sharpened and the mist began to settle, Every drove his crew toward a single objective: intercept the gold convoy on the Indian Ocean route just before dawn tears the fog apart. The Fancy is smaller, but fast and stubborn. A dark hull, patched sails, rigging that shrieks with every gust. On deck, nothing is wasted. Only the slap of water against timber, the groan of the ship under strain, and boots running between the guns. Every walks the rail, touches cold iron, checks sail lines, reads faces, locking discipline into place. He promises nothing except the truth. Either they change their lives in one night, or they vanish like they never existed. No lights? Stay low. Orders short as hammer blows. Their target isn't an ordinary ship. It's a returning convoy, its holds packed with wealth taxes and sealed chests, heavy enough to change the color of any harbor. At the center sits the gold ship, high-sided, heavily armed, crowded with men, always protected by escorts. Touching it means signing an invisible warrant on your own head. Merchants, port guards, patrol ships, everyone will join the chase. Every understands that, so he doesn't rush straight at the monster. At sea, formation is life. Break one link and the chain stumbles. Every waits for the moment the convoy adjusts course to the wind, speeds uneven, and one ship lags behind, dragged down by swell. He points into the darkness. That one. If they cripple the straggler, the Fancy gains tempo, gains information, and, most importantly, forces the gold ship to react. The instant the larger ship turns, it peels away from the convoy's cover. That is the only moment a small predator can bite a giant without being crushed instantly. But time is the second enemy. Night hides them, day exposes them. When dawn comes, the Fancy will stand out like ink on white paper. And then, no matter how fast they run, they'll face a pursuit that could last weeks, maybe months. Every watches the sky like a clock. We have minutes, not hours. Minutes to lock the angle, disrupt the formation, and close on the gold ship before light turns them into a target. On deck, the loaders work in silence, powder smoke mixing with salt air, burning the throat. The helmsman keeps the bow biting the wind, every correction so small it's almost invisible. Everything must be perfect. One creak at the wrong moment, one sail losing wind, and the gap opens wide enough for the enemy to break away and call the escorts back. And then, the thing they fear most happens. On the enemy ship, a light flashes in the mist, like an eye snapping open. They've been seen. Hesitation is suicide. That's why Every's first shot isn't aimed at people. It's aimed at the sea, throwing up a white wall of water just ahead of the enemy's bow, a cold warning. The message is simple: stop and break formation, or turn and drag the entire convoy into a fight. And right then, in the fog, the gold ship begins to swing around. The Fancy accelerates, cutting into the night like a challenge. The Fancy drives forward like a black arrow, slicing through the mist. On deck, no one speaks, only rigging shrieking, timber groaning underfoot. Henry. Every stands by the rail, eyes locked on the shadow ahead. 400 meters, then 300. Hold! Fire! His hand hovers in the air as if he's holding the storm itself. The lagging ship pitches in the swell, its signal light flickering and dying. They're rattled, and panic is a crack in the armor. A heavy wave slams the hull. The deck turns slick. A sailor slips. One powder barrel nearly skids. Every snap's just loud enough. Careful! Below, loaders move like machinery. Ram, wad, shot, lock. Powder stinks in the salt air, sharp enough to sting the eyes. The wind bites harder. The helmsman nudges the wheel so the Fancy slips into a dead angle, stealing the wind. Steady. The bow shifts only a few degrees, just enough to cut across the target's escape line. 250 meters. A frantic whistle screams from the other ship. They swing their broadside to bring guns to bear. Every doesn't wait. Fire! Cannons thunder, the sound punching through fog. White smoke bursts out, ripped into ribbons by the wind. A column of water erupts near the enemy's bow. Still a warning, but enough to scramble their deck. The Fancy surges. Close the gap! Loaders slam the next charge home. Iron clicks dry and cold, then the enemy answers. A flash blooms in the mist, followed by a heavy boom. A shot shrieks past and smashes into the sea beside the Fancy. Water explodes over the rail. The ship shudders. This isn't bluffing anymore. Every's voice turns razor thin. Hard to starboard! The Fancy snaps away, dodging the next line of fire by a breath. Farther out, faint lights glimmer. Main convoy still out there. If this drags on, the whole formation will turn back. The wind shifts. For a few seconds, the Fancy loses bite. Speed drops, and the target vanishes from sight. Someone reaches for a lamp. Every kills it with a gesture. Listen. And in the dark, they hear it. The enemy's hull hammering water, the rigging straining, trying to accelerate, trying to change course and break the angle. Every aims with sound. Port, just a hair. The Fancy slides left. The shadow reappears, closer. 200, 150. The range call comes like a fuse burning down. Every nods. Aim low, disable. No need to kill, just cut the escape. Fire! The next shot slams into the lower hull. Ropes snap, lines whip. A sail flutters wrong. The enemy's speed bleeds away, but they gamble. A chain shot howls like a saw blade and scythes across the Fancy's rigging. A thick line snaps with a crack like a gunshot, whipping the deck. Every snarls, cut it loose! The enemy tries to swing their guns for close range. Another muzzle flash. Smoke pours thick. A shot rips past the Fancy's bow. Splinters spray like rain. No gore. Only cracking wood and powder smoke clawing at the lungs. Every ducks, then locks eyes on the target. Hold course! The Fancy pushes in. 100 meters, 80, 50. The Fancy's cannons fire in short, brutal rhythm. Each blast not to destroy, but to break resolve. In the fog, every knows this still isn't the true gold ship. This is an armed straggler. Dangerous, but not the fortress. He refuses a head-on collision. He cuts across the enemy's bow, forcing a sharp turn. Cut him off! The target lurches. Their gun crew stumbles. One cannon can't pivot in time. They've lost tempo, and at sea, losing tempo is losing life. Now, every growls. A third volley, tight, precise. Shots chew at lines in the lower hull. The target slows, pitching hard. A long whistle wails. Then, through smoke and mist, a small white cloth rises near the mast. Not total collapse, an attempt to stop the pounding. Every knows he has his lever, but he doesn't linger. Linger and die. Secure the line. Ropes fly, hooks bite, the hulls drag together with a grinding scream. A team from the Fancy crosses fast, seizing positions on deck, stripping weapons, pulling the other captain away from any signal point. No signals. Every orders. In the distance, the convoy's lights still shimmer. They haven't turned back. Not yet. Every looks up. The night ink is thinning. Someone is pouring gray into it. 5 minutes, a man whispers. If the main escort turns now, the Fancy will be trapped between two arcs of fire. Every won't allow it. He cuts loose and moves. A sailor from the seized ship is dragged forward, face pale, eyes flicking backward like he fears something worse. Every asks one question. Where is the gold ship? The man swallows. points northeast. Behind, coming back, 2 words, but they hit like a bullet. The gold ship is turning around. Every looks to the horizon. The black is already bleeding into gray. Dawn is no longer an idea. It's a blade sliding out of its sheath. We move. Now. The Fancy breaks away and accelerates. Full sail! Canvas fills. Wind screams up the mast. If they don't reach the gold ship before the sky turns fully gray, they'll be exposed in open water. And then it appears through the fog. A taller mass, higher sides, more gun ports. It isn't running. It's turning to face them, like a huge beast pivoting in the dark. On the Fancy, everything seems to lose a beat. Everyone understands. What just happened was only the appetizer. The real fight begins now, right before the sun comes up. The gold ship is no longer a vague shadow. It rises in the mist like a wooden cliff. High sides, black gun ports, a hull thick as a floating fortress. The Fancy looks small beside it, lower, lighter, easier to crush. Henry. Every lifts a hand. Stay down! The wind screams through the rigging. To the east, the night thins, dawn crawling closer. A flash blooms on the gold ship's deck. Then the boom hits, deep and heavy. The first broadside isn't a warning, it's a wall meant to block the sea. Shots tear across the surface and slam into the water ahead of the Fancy, throwing up a white barricade. The deck turns slick. Hard to port, every snaps. The Fancy whips away, avoiding the next line by a breath. At this range, one clean hit to sail or rudder turns them into a target pinned in daylight. Every's voice drops, calm and lethal. Hold, steady. He knows they can't trade cannon fire for long. The gold ship has more guns, better weight, more men, and when the sun rises, the Fancy will be visible for miles. They have one advantage, speed and angle. They must close enough that the big guns can't track, close enough to turn this into a fight of geometry, not brute force. Ready? The loaders call. Every studies the enemy rigging, searching for the fastest way to slow a giant within minutes. Aim for the rigging, disable their speed. He doesn't need to destroy the ship. He needs to break its rhythm. Fire! Smoke erupts, wind shreds it. A shot bites into lines on the gold ship. Rope snaps. A section of sail jerks and collapses. The gold ship answers instantly. Cannons roar in sequence. Shots crash into the sea near the Fancy. Spray slams the deck. The hull vibrates. Every glances at the sky. Black is turning to dark gray. We have minutes. This is the last edge of night. Win now, or be hunted across open water. The Fancy surges to close the gap. 300 meters, 250. The two ships run parallel in fog and smoke. Then the wind slaps sideways. The Fancy's sail flutters. Speed drops for a heartbeat. The bow wobbles. The helmsman shouts, "Rudder's sluggish!" The wheel feels heavy, slow to answer. A tiny fault, right now, can kill them. The gold ship exploits it, firing to force the Fancy to keep turning, dodging shots while being pushed off the approach line. A round shrieks past the mast, the pressure alone making lines shiver. It doesn't strike the hull, but it shakes the rigging hard enough that a plank pops loose and skitters across the deck. Someone instinctively ducks for cover. Every stops the fear before it spreads. "Stay on stations," he points forward. "If we drift, we die." The gap starts to open. The gold ship finds its rhythm again, swinging its broadside, gun ports aligned like a black grin. If the next volley cripples sail, the Fancy will be pinned just as daylight arrives. Every looks into the fog behind them. Any escort lights would be a death. Sentence: he doesn't have time for a long duel. He needs a turnaround immediately. Chain shot. The words land like iron. Loaders switch ammunition. Chain shot doesn't need to punch through wood. It only needs to cut the enemy's wind. Every waits for the one moment the gold ship must hold a straight line against the swell. Hold, hold, one beat. Fire! The chain shot howls through the mist like a saw. On the gold ship, lines snap. Sailcloth shivers, then slumps. The giant slows for a single heartbeat, but that heartbeat is everything. Now, full sail! Every roars. The Fancy lunges. 200 meters, 150, 100. The gold ship tries to answer, but at this range, its big guns become clumsy. The return shots fall wide, exploding the sea behind. Keep closing! Every keeps everyone low. Smoke and fog merge into one gray skin over the water. Only wind and timber remain. At 100 meters, a sharp crack comes from the gold ship, rigging tearing under strain. A secondary spar yanks sideways as lines fail. The giant begins to yaw, losing steering rhythm for seconds. That is the window. Every points to the stern. Aim for the stern. Disable steering. Fire! A tight volley slams the sea near the rear quarter. The gold ship slews farther offline as if pulled out of orbit. The gap collapses. 50 meters, 40, 30, 20. The range call whispers. Dawn presses at their backs. Every touches the brass compass at his chest, feels the needle tremble, then looks up. Secure the line. Hooks are ready. The Fancy slides alongside. Wood grinds on wood, an ugly living scream. A swell lifts both hulls, then drops them hard. The deck shudders like it might split. Every barks the final orders before the point of no return. Boarding positions, on my mark. Hands grip ropes, hooks tighten, men brace for impact. On the gold ship, footsteps thunder. At this distance, cannons can't save anyone. Only one thing matters: get onto that deck before daylight fully arrives. Every stares through the fog, voice cold as steel. Close. Now. The gap shrinks to mere feet. He drops his hand. It's time to board. The gap disappears. Wood slams against wood, a deep grinding roar underfoot. The mist is torn apart by lingering powder smoke, and in that instant, the treasure ship's deck and the Fancy's deck are only a few steps apart. Henry, Every gives no room for hesitation. Go! Grappling hooks fly and bite into the enemy rail. The Fancy's men surge across with the rhythm of the swell. Low, fast, gripping rope, fighting balance. There is no gore here, only pounding footsteps, timber creaking, metal clacking, and short, decisive commands. On the treasure ship, the guards panic at the speed of the close-in assault. They try to pull back toward the gun ports, but at this range, the heavy cannons are useless. Every exploits that perfectly. He splits his crew into two thrusts. One locks down the command area and cuts off any signaling. The second holds a narrow passage between stacked cargo where the enemy cannot reform into a proper line. Secure the deck. No signals. Each order lands like a nail. A big wave rolls through. Both ships tilt. The grappling line snaps tight, whining like it might break. One man nearly slides off the rail, then gets hauled back. Every barks, hold the line. If that rope fails, the Fancy drifts away and the entire boarding collapses seconds before dawn. The line handlers clamp down, hands shaking from cold and strain. Wind lashes faces with salt and powder stink. Everything vibrates with the sea. But the Fancy stays pinned to the target, like a steel hook locked into flesh. The defenders try to rally. A whistle screams. A group rushes in from the upper deck, attempting to retake the passage. Every denies them time. He signals his second team to press them into the tight corridor, where numbers become a disadvantage. Push them back! No need to describe brutality. The principle is clear. Lock the angle, cut the route, take position. Within seconds, control shifts. The defenders split into scattered knots, no longer a unit. And once the treasure ship's deck is controlled, the feeling changes instantly. It's no longer a fortress. It becomes a maze. Every step's aboard, eyes cold, mind fixed. He doesn't hunt gold first, he hunts time. If they stay too long, daylight exposes them and the escorts will see. He looks east. The horizon has turned gray. 2 minutes, someone breathes. Every nods once. Find the hold, fast. They force a path down toward the cargo deck. An oil lamp trembles, lighting rows of sealed wooden chests stacked tight, bound with thick rope. No long list is needed. One moment says everything. A lid cracks open and metal flashes in the dark like lightning. Gold, silver, gems, packed so dense it no longer feels like money. It feels like gravity. A sailor swallows hard. No cheering, only stares, then eyes turn back to Henry Every, waiting for the final call. Every doesn't let emotion win. He signals, take what we can carry, move. They cannot linger. They need enough to turn their lives into legend, enough to make the world go mad with pursuit. Chests are hauled up by rope, wood scrapes wood. Hooks clink dry and sharp. Above, the line handlers are still pulled tight as a bowstring. Another wave hits. The rope shrieks. For a heartbeat, everything nearly slips away. Then a sound carries from the fog, maybe a distant blast, maybe a whistle, but it's enough. Every knows their time is over. Break off, he orders. Back to Fancy! His crew withdraws in a tight, controlled flow, releasing hooks at the right moment, denying the treasure ship any chance to lock them again. The Fancy peels away, the bow snapping into a hard turn, vanishing into the mist like a ghost that appears, then disappears. Dawn rises, the sky turns gray, and now they are no longer nameless. They are a target. Every looks back. The treasure ship is slowed, a portion of sail slack, formation shaken. It hasn't sunk, it's still there, but its treasure has been ripped away. And more than that, the honor of an empire has been challenged in open sea. The escape begins at that instant, not from one ship, but from the entire world. From trade ports and sea lanes to bounty hunters and patrol captains, the news will spread faster than the wind. Every unfamiliar mast on the horizon could be a pursuer. But Henry, every planned for this. He chose the fog, the last edge of night, the final minutes before dawn. He turned a battle into a surgical cut, deep enough that history would remember his name. And if this story hit you like a movie, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to Death Zone. On this channel, we bring you more raids, chases, and sea battles, told in a cinematic bombshell style that keeps you locked in from the first second to the last.